Based on some unfortunate NBA news, the Sixers may have just had one of their future draft assets turn into absolute gold. Also, we get a key injury update on Jared McCain, who took a scary-looking fall at the end of yesterday's preseason game. And we talk about our Sixers preseason standouts, which guys are making the final push for a roster spot. We'll talk about our top standouts and a whole bunch more. But of course, welcome on into Philly Take with RB. Do me a favor, go down below, like the show, subscribe to the channel on the road to 40K subs, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of the coverage. A lot on the way. Season is less than a week away. I am so freaking pumped. This one is presented by BetUS. And the question of the day, easy, go down below. Let me know in the comments, who should the starting five be? Based on what we have seen in these first 5 preseason games, based on the iterations of the lineup Nurse is throwing out there, obviously no Embiid, PG's banged up now, but based on the players we have seen out there on the floor, who do you think should be the starting 5? Nurse seems to be experimenting with a lot, so I am curious to hear your answers down below, and I'll get into mine in just a bit. But before we jump into all the chaos today, I got to let you know about BetUS. Ladies and gentlemen, right now, you can get a 150% deposit match bonus over on BetUS on your first deposit, up to $2,000, and a 125% bonus on your next two. Going over to BetUS.com, use the code YouTube150 when you sign up to get the 150% deposit bonus. And the odd of the week right now is Joel Embiid to be the defensive player of the year. These are long shot odds. These are sneaky good odds, because as good as Joel Embiid is offensively, you know, we know how prolific of a scorer he is and how much he impacts the game offensively. I think this is really the year, based on what he has been talking about in these press conferences, where he maybe dials it back a bit, right? Takes a step back, works on other parts of his game, the rebounding, the playmaking, the defending, and he's always been a really good defender, just very underrated, right? And a lot has fallen on his shoulders offensively, but I think we could see an even better version of Embiid defensively this year. So these are really sneaky good odds. Go on and check it out on BetUS.com. Once again, use the code YouTube150 to get the 150% deposit match bonus up to $2,000. Shout out to BetUS for partnering with the channel. But all right, let's talk about the 76ers, because unfortunately, the news just came out a couple hours ago that Kawhi Leonard is going to be sidelined again, this time for an indefinite period to start the NBA season as he rehabs the inflammation in his right knee. League sources tell me. This is from Shams Charania, now of ESPN Shams. And, you know, I remember a point, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago, where they had said to Kawhi Leonard, you will never be 100% healthy again. You will constantly deal with a knee injury every year. And he has missed significant chunks of time. He's missed playoff series. I actually feel bad. And this guy broke all of our hearts. But you know what? I recognize talent. Kawhi Leonard is a tremendous, superb talent who has played the game at a high level for a long time. And it's just really sad, man. Like, he's never going to be back to 100%. But what it means for the 76ers is that they are going to have probably an even better first-round pick in 2028. They acquired a first-rounder in the James Harden trade. And as Philly Sixers Galaxy says here, Morey not only acquiring an unprotected 2028 first, but also a 2029 first-round pick swap from the Clippers will always be the biggest win in the James Harden trade, behind dumping PJ Tucker's salary. So the Sixers got a lot of good assets. I'm actually going to throw in a little twist here. I think they should maybe try to move them in a year or two. And hear me out. It does not take long anymore to rebuild teams, right? Obviously, you can get guys in the draft, things like that. But we know Steve Ballmer, we know the Clippers. He's not going to sit around and wait. He's not getting any younger. They just opened a new arena, which is very beautiful, by the way. They have James Harden, who is on a 2-year deal that he signed this offseason with a player option. He's going to leave LA next year. Kawhi Leonard's never going to be healthy again. Paul George is now a Sixer. The Clippers are going to have to blow this thing up, and I wouldn't wait till 2028. I think the Sixers might actually be able to leverage those assets in more trades in the next couple of years. But right now, that 2028 unprotected and the 2029 pick are looking really, really good. So Daryl Morey may have hit a home run there. Speaking of home runs, it looks like he hit a home run on Jared McCain. Based on what we have seen in this preseason, I love his aggressiveness, the way he's approaching the game. obviously his shot making, which I said will be the key to decide whether he'll be on the floor or not. But he had a really scary fall last night. At the end of the game, we were live, and we'll be live all year, every single game, pre-game, live game, post-game. So be sure to tune in on our Game Day Live show. But thankfully, it seems like he's okay. It says that Philly first-round pick Jared McCain experienced pulmonary contusions. He has been discharged from the hospital and is home resting. Will be reevaluated today for a concussion, but there's optimism the rookie avoided a serious injury. So prayers up for Jared. But it is crazy. Shout out to Will here on Twitter. All of the injuries that we have been scarred with as Philly fans. Pulmonary contusion is the latest, but sesame seed allergy, Bell's palsy, gastroenteritis, thoracic outlet syndrome, orbital bone fracture, getting hit by a car. There's just been so many things that have happened to the Sixers team. It just falls right in line with the chaos. But, you know, when McCain went down and he's breathing really hard and then he's coughing, I'm like, yo, is this guy okay? Like, I was genuinely worried about his health, but he's also been playing his ass off in preseason. So I'm glad that McCain seems to be okay, and hopefully he's good to go for opening day. Doesn't look like Paul George might be ready for the first game, but he also avoided a serious injury, and they said he'll be reevaluated next week. So we'll just have to wait and see, but Jared McCain has been great. And that actually takes me to the other thing I wanted to discuss today, is the Sixers' top standouts in the preseason. Okay, we're going to start it off, go down the line. I'm going to talk about 4 guys I think have really impressed and are making a big push here in the preseason. The first one is Eric Gordon, and this guy's been in the league for 16 years. He's only 35, by the way, and he's been in the league for 16 years. You know, he's been a hooper his whole career. He's actually never averaged below 10 points, which is pretty crazy. And right now in this preseason, especially yesterday, watching the way he was going out there knocking down shots, and we know he's a confident scorer, but one thing that really stands out to me is Eric Gordon's three-point percentage in this preseason. So if we go to Eric Gordon and we see guys, right, who haven't taken a lot of shots, but how about Eric Gordon, man? Eric Gordon averaging 45.5% from 3 on 2.8 attempts here in the preseason. He might actually end up starting. What do you think about that? I think it's actually more likely than not that Nurse goes with the veteran presence in Eric Gordon. We've been seeing a lot of Caleb Martin coming in off the bench, which I did say was a possibility, right? I said either Martin or Oubre, but what if Eric Gordon ends up starting at the 2? Maybe not the best thing defensively, but man, he seems really confident in knocking down shots. He can put it on the floor a little bit, and he's just been really good at, you know, finding his role in this team. And I think with Joel Embiid back, he's going to be even better. So I was a little iffy when they signed him. I had a feeling they were going to get him given his history with Daryl Morey, but so far, man, he seems to be shooting the ball really well. The second guy I want to talk about is Guerschon Yabusele, and he didn't really have the best start to the preseason. He's not scoring the ball at really a high clip. The numbers will show it, but I feel like a lot has probably been garbage points, right? He's averaging 9 points per game. But something that also stands out about Guerschon as we see the three-point percentage is that he's shooting 50% also on 2.8 attempts per game, actually the same as Eric Gordon. And what I really like about Guerschon is this number right here. I still think the Sixers have a rebounding issue. People keep saying, you know, put Drummond in the starting lineup. Not going to happen, okay? Guerschon is trying to fight for a starting spot. Is he good enough to be the starting 4? Is he polished enough offensively? I don't know. There are some plays that I'm seeing in the preseason where he just looks completely lost, especially on defensive rotations, but his rebounds have been up there. Behind Andre Drummond, the best rebounder in the preseason has been Guerschon Yabusele. So, you know, again, I think the Sixers need to make one more move down the line for another rebounder, a guy who you can plug in at the 4. But for Guerschon, you know, coming overseas and trying to fight for his NBA life, I think he has been making a decent impression. I love his toughness. I love the way he attacks the game. I love all these guys. They're just a likable group. The third guy is KJ Martin, who I think is definitely impressing me a lot more than I thought he would. KJ Martin really hasn't scored the ball that much, but what I'm noticing with KJ Martin is a couple things. One, his ability as a lob threat. I mean, yesterday they're calling the Sixers the Lob City Sixers. You have KJ Martin going up for 50 million alley-oops. Then on top of that, I think where he's really been strong in the preseason is as a post defender and as a backdoor cutter. He did some of these things well last year, but what I'm seeing from KJ Martin is he's really fighting for that starting 4 spot. The thing is, though, right, he hired a shooting coach. The shooting really has not been there yet. That's the next step that KJ Martin needs to take here as we go into the early part of the season. But if he can do that, I really do believe KJ can be a player for this team, or he can work up his value because the Sixers still view him as a trade chip. And, you know, Daryl Morey even admitted here in an interview with Gina Mazzell that he says KJ Martin, he saw the 2-year, $16 million deal, which is advantageous for the Sixers because of its tradability. Quote, "It was something I had to take," he told the Inquirer. So again, they are lining these things up. Daryl Morey has really been foreshadowing the landscape of the NBA and where he wants to see the Sixers at. He called this whole thing a risky plan, but if it all goes according to plan, they are going to move KJ and probably some assets before the deadline, get a power forward, get the final rendition of this team, and go all in for the playoffs and try to make a push. So, look, I think they're lining it up perfectly, but as of now, the Sixers need a power forward to start the season, and KJ's got to step up. But I think defensively and just moving around out there, he's really been finding a nice seamless role for himself. And lastly, the guy who also got injured yesterday, Jared McCain. He's got to be number 4. Jared McCain, like I said, his aggression, his mentality, the way he's getting physical, driving to the rim, the way he's, you know, finding his teammates, and also just being confident. I think the Sixers haven't had a confident first-round rookie in a very long time outside of Tyrese Maxey, and they always get these guys that come in who are scared to shoot the ball, or, you know, they're just not ready for the big leagues yet. And you could just see the difference, right, compared to other players. Every time Jared McCain has come in, I know it's the preseason, but every time he steps on the floor, I feel like he does something that kind of takes me back a little bit, right? And opens my eyes like, wow. The question is, could he be ready to go from day one? And that's really been the major question, because they need guys who can help them win now, right? Obviously, a power forward would have been nice, but if Jared McCain can shoot the way he's shooting right now, he is going to find some minutes on the NBA floor. So Jared McCain has been awesome in this preseason. Hope he is healthy, but right now, if we go back to points per game, Jared McCain's at number 4, 12.8 points per game in the preseason. A very promising sign. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.